Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I am your host, Michael Karvelis, and this is Daily Dive. It is Monday, February the 9th, 2026, and this show begins now. We are live streaming via the airwaves of North American Talk Radio on YouTube, and we appreciate you for tuning in. There is another video series that has popped up. A new friend of the channel has been making religious videos, if you're into that, like kind of like religious research, I'd call it. Not sure what the proper subject of that is, but if you're into that kind of thing. On today's awesome show, we're going to talk to Captain first about Week 11 NLL overreactions. Captain will be talking to us about the Georgia Swarm game, the Saskatchewan Rush game, and the Vancouver Warriors game. Then we're going to talk to Pat Gregoire as he will discuss the Toronto Rock game that he was part of on the call. The Philadelphia Wings upsetting the Buffalo Bandits and the Ottawa Black Bears taking down the Roughnecks. And stay tuned in that segment for Greggy's Grinder and Mike's Lunchbox for the players that won't get enough love this week for what they did. And finally, 3 stars of the weekend. I have a very special announcement here. I know that it may not seem large when I say this, she says. But remember, I've been telling you guys about NLL merchandise found at natalkradio.us/NLL. I've been asking people to go there, whether you want to support the show or not. It takes you to the Amazon link, so you really, it doesn't make any sense why you wouldn't do it. I say that to say this. This comes from that shop. My friend actually got it for me, who lives locally here in Georgia. I guess he thinks I give off Georgia Swarm fan vibes. Cool. Good for me. I will admit, I did see a review on it that kind of, I can see where the person was coming from. Tomorrow or sometime this week, I will do a review of the merchandise, maybe a little bit like a short segment, but the logo is huge, and I'm okay with that. All right, now without further ado, again, find your merch at natalkradio.us/NLL. Now it's time to bring in the big rig, the man whose ladder, one of them at least, is climbing ever so more. Let's bring in a good friend, Captain. How you been?
I've been cold, dude.
You're cold. So I know John Gertler on the Buffalo Bandits broadcast was saying it was like -30 and 40 mile per hour winds. You told me that's a normal winter. There's no way. That's every year?
Yeah, at least once a year in many parts of Ontario, it hits this point. I mean, if you're up in Thunder Bay, it's probably like this once a week.
So people have always told me, Michael, you don't want to live up there. It's cold like that. It's like another level of cold. And I was like, -10 is fine. If it does what you're saying every year, I'm strongly reconsidering. That's a little bit much.
Yeah, walking the dog, she was a little crisp breathing this morning.
Tell Max we send our best. All right, yeah. So great, the best friend of the program, by the way. He replaced my dog. Anyways, all right, so we got 3 games to get to with you, and of course later on, people can stay tuned for PG Pat Gregoire. But this is like a PG-13 segment we can do. All right, so 3 games here. First one for you. Georgia Swarm defeat the Las Vegas Desert Dogs represent by a score of 12-9. For those wondering, my 3 stars nominee of this game was Lyle Thompson, who had 2 goals and 5 primary assists with 8 loosies. He seems back in form, but that's not what I'm worried about in this game. The overreaction question for the Swarm game: is Georgia a legitimate title threat? You, of course, can go many ways with that question. Captain, where are you going with the possibility of Georgia being legitimate for a title?
They're doing good things this year. I, near the beginning of the year, didn't quite give credit to how good that young D-core is.
Yeah.
Dobson, come on, man, like another planet. They kind of remind me of the Blue Jays right now. Like everyone's bought into the system. They're grinding, and they're coming up with the wins they need. As for title contender, I definitely see them blowing somebody up in a single game elimination.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they're quite there to handle a Saskatchewan or Vancouver or Colorado for a 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5 sort of thing.
Captain, me and you were like, I know sometimes when we handicap games, like we are pretty similar. But this one might be more similar than that. So what I wrote down for the answer to the question, are the Georgia Swarm a legitimate title contender? I said no, and then I wrote down a scenario why. Let's break it down. In a 3-game series, let's just name off some teams that will say confidently, can Georgia beat this team? More so than not. Vancouver, I don't think so. Even though we'll get to them. Saskatchewan, definitely not. Colorado, I mean, they split 2 games, but after what we've seen with Colorado recently, I'd take the second game.
Ward's just 2 Ward's on another level right now this season.
Correct.
To be beaten twice by the same team.
And then, if the Rams have a higher seed, it's even more so. And the 2 other ones I'll bring up, and yeah, we can get to this in a moment here, but Buffalo at 3-5, if they sneak in, I mean, it feels like Georgia can never beat them. It feels like this would be a year they might. And then Rochester, I still feel like would give them hell. Like, as great as Dobson is, as fantastic as the young D-core is, I feel like Rochester's offense, after what they did, again, we'll get to that against Vancouver late in the game, I'm like, God bless Dobson, but God bless the Rochester. That's like 3 or 4 teams right away. So I would lean no. So I like that. Any last thoughts on the game? Or are you good?
No.
Cool. All right. Saskatchewan Rush. Fun fact before I get into this game. Over the weekend, Austin Shanks, his account was posting all kind of meme coins on the Twitter. I originally mentioned him and said, oh boy, his account is hacked. And then prior to that was the whole situation we'll get into in the next block here. Austin Shanks then mentions me saying, hey, yeah, I got hacked, but Michael, if you see this, you're a goof. I quoted it with LOL, and I guess he couldn't figure out how to get into that stupid thing. So as much as I'm a goof, he's a goof because he had to deactivate his Twitter, and now it says this account no longer exists. That's a good thing. So now if you want to follow Austin Shanks, you probably have to find a new account. Now, that being said, no shots. This also interesting. Rush beat the Seals 12-9 in a comeback. Once the Rush took over, it was pretty much over. It took them a good while to do so. The question here, though, 3 stars nominee, Robert Church, the Bobby Kid. I call him Bobby Kid, but there's a guy on his roster called Bobby Kid, so it doesn't make sense there. Anyways, Robert Church, 4 goals. But how many more games will the Rush win this? That's a lie. How many more games will the Rush lose for the rest of the season? Captains, tread lightly. They're 8-1.
Yeah, no. So this coming week, we'll talk about it next game here.
Correct.
But it's a big one. I'd call this one a toss-up.
From Vancouver?
Yeah.
Vancouver game, yeah.
So the Vancouver-Saskatchewan game coming up, like that could be a toss-up, especially with I can't quite figure out, and I've been saying this all season so far, like Frankie just doesn't seem to be moving quite right, and I can't figure out why Saskatchewan wants to give up these early 3-4 goal leads. I don't think that's sustainable moving forward. I'm sure they'll correct that, but they got Philly should be one they handle. The Bandits, Rochester, and the Bandits should, they should probably handle that first one. Rochester will be a toss-up.
I feel like by that point, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and then, they should be able to handle the Seals, but the last few games of the season will be very interesting because they'll have the Rock at the back-to-back, and it depends how hungry they are. The second game against Buffalo, like I personally, I'm counting them out, but if they turn it around, like
the second game, you don't want to catch them hot. Yeah.
Yeah. The last 4 games of the season, Rock, Buffalo, Colorado, then the Rock again, that a lot of that will factor into whether Saskatchewan's, in a clinching spot and whether, how hungry the Rock and the Bandits are to try to grab the last spot or, get into a good position. So yeah, I don't think the Rush are in any danger of missing anything coming up, but I think they do have a lot of couple leaks to fix on that boat as she sails down the river towards the finals here.
How many more losses do you think? Are you going to put a number on it, or you're scared to?
I'll say 4 more losses this season because I'm going to say near the they're losing 2 of the last 4 games. And, up to that point, they'll have, Vancouver next week will be a very, very good game for both teams, a very good test at this point in the season. So
it might be a finals matchup preview because that was my prediction was those 2 teams.
Yeah, very well could be.
So I actually wrote down, I would say, where am I at here? There we go. I would say 3. I'm going to say 3. I'm going to give them one, like you said, one of the Buffalo games. I think that second one kind of speaks volumes. I think I'll give them Vancouver. They're going to lose to Vancouver or Rochester. I don't see them beating both. So I can take that. That doesn't mean I'm going to pick Vancouver this weekend for the record. I'm also going to give them one other game. And the games here, there's 5 of them. Like you said, Philadelphia, San Diego, Colorado, and then Toronto. I feel like 4 or 5 losses this season is the sweet spot for them. If they are 15-3 or better, or 14, what would it be, 17 games or 18? I think it's 18 games. Yeah, so if they're 15-3 or better, you better, people like yourself should throw every truck of money you have at them winning the finals. Because with the schedule coming up and they still might only get 2 more losses, I would be shocked in the league of parity if they could pull that off. So that's why. And again, it's a shame because overreactions is kind of like something like we kind of just make crazy assumptions, and then we take a team like the Rush who was 8-1 and say, how many more are they going to lose? It's unfortunate. So he's going 4. So if you're going 13-5, that still might get the 1 seed on the rate that they started. So it's not a bad thing. Finally, this is going to be a 2-part question, obviously, because we have to keep it on the field first. Now, we could have kept it on the field completely, but they had other plans. So on the field, we're going to do, on the playing field, should I say, Vancouver Warriors defeat the Rochester Nighthawks in a rematch. They sweep the series 16-15. Last week, the Warriors did not need 16 goals. They needed 7. This week, they needed every last bit of the 16 goals, which is amazing. The 3 stars nominee for me, there were actually 2 of them in a way. As great as Curtis Dixon's 7 goals were, that was kind of like a second quarter flurry. If you look at the game flow, though, Jesse King actually, when Rochester was out 5-2, actually started breaking that thing open and getting Vancouver on track. He just obviously didn't have 7 goals. The nominee went to Curtis Dixon. The overreaction question number 1 is this. Captain, we know you've called Vancouver frauds. Are you going to start buying some stock, or is this more about same old soft Rochester?
Yeah, I'm going to go 60-40 here. 40% Same old Rochester. I really want to buy in on Rochester, but they seem to be like the Black Bears on steroids. Like their swings are just massive. Like regardless, I'm buying a little bit more on Vancouver. These two games here were very emotional, but to see some of the depth show for Vancouver in the second game does, bring me back to dials my fraud watch back a little bit.
Yeah.
But I, even before this Rochester series, I had my eyes on this Week 12 match with the Rush because, this is going to be more of a telltale sign of what team is doing what. And out of Vancouver and Saskatchewan, I think Vancouver is the team that needs to make a bigger statement in this game. So, yeah, I'll buy into them. I'll buy in a little bit.
But you only at 60%. So I actually do. No, wait. You said 60% like that you're into them, right? So 40% frauds, correct?
No, I'm saying of it being same old Rochester versus Vancouver, I'm saying it's about 40% same old Rochester, 60% Vancouver. But with my previous take on Vancouver being, complete frauds on offense, I'm definitely dialing that back. However, I'm keeping my eyes on this, Week 12 matchup with Saskatchewan, because that'll give me more of an idea where I place them for the fraud watch moving forward. But
more of a balanced look at it.
Exactly.
All right, folks. People know my feelings on Rochester.
Here we go.
I think they're awesome. I said that I wanted to see how they look versus regular season competitors. I originally named those teams as Saskatchewan, Vancouver, and Buffalo. Now, they have not. Rochester's not played Saskatchewan yet. They have played Vancouver twice. That's LL. They have played Colorado once. Got blasted. And if you want to throw in Buffalo for the sake of Rochester's psyche, that's the one win. It's a 1-3 record versus the who's and the how big are your balls? They're not showing up again. And I'm shocked about. I'm not shocked. I'm disappointed. With that being said, I have an alarm. Vancouver is not off of fraud watch. And here is why. Rochester was down 13-7 at the half in what was an emotional game with a backup goalie because the other one was flustered by the other stuff going on and whatever that mini battle was. The Nighthawks led the game 5-2. There was a chance the Rochester Nighthawks could have blown this game up, but I know they didn't. But against Del Bianco, that does not just happen because he was sleeping for the – no, you put it on him early, 5 goals. That's concerning because that dude never blinks, and he did there for a moment. Yeah, roller coaster, I like that. Then they blew it to the tune of 13-7, and they came back, and there's an argument. I'm not a referees guy, but if there's an argument there's a few missed penalties in the end of that game. So you could have been tied, and I'm not saying you would have been because Del Bianco did lock it, but man, I don't like that too much. Even better. Yes. So, Captain, I'm still you bought me in, and it was sad because how do you sweep Rochester? And now I'm on the fraud watch train because Rochester showed you if your offense is on fire, which Saskatchewan's has been before, which Colorado's has been before. I feel like, and Momolowski will probably tell you they still have a long ways to go, which is why the fraud watch. I'm hoping it doesn't last much longer. But like I said, like you had this team kicked in the teeth, and how does Rochester bounce back? I've got no clue. And again, like you started getting kicked in the teeth, kick them. How do you let that happen again? Something is breaking on your team that maybe Molossi realizes and a lot of people don't. So there you go. Do you want? I mean, you want to talk about it now?
Oh, you hit it.
Now, full disclosure, folks, I will have a segment on this tomorrow. To really like gather my thoughts. I've got like a few things laid out. But we're gonna do this now with Captain, because as far as I know, he is on the opposite side of me on the spectrum. It's not autism, unfortunately. It's a pregame fight. So simple question. Tyler Biles and Jackson Subak go fisticuffs in front of what looks like an organized mafia crime units out there. Captain, was it fair? Like you say, like I think you're gonna say, or was it foul? Like I'm leaning.
Yeah, we right away we had different opinions, and I mean that's the best part. This is why it's important to have many different takes on it. Not everyone's going to agree, and we don't. But at the end of the day, we're not throwing eggs at each other about it. So I'll dial back to my childhood here. Saturday mornings, there was a show. I sent you a little clip there.
That was funny.
It was on Warner Brothers, right there with Bugs Bunny and then, but it was this little clip called
Doc.
Good Idea, Bad Idea. And so I'll give you two of my bad ideas first for that altercation, and then I'll end it with two good ideas, and then y'all can have whatever with it. But bad idea, Kurt Molosky walking the line with a coffee in his hand. I don't, the boys are out there on the floor. I don't think that in any way, shape, or form should coaches and players be involved in the same sort of, physical altercations or whatever's going on there. I'm not saying that he got physical. I'm just saying, to step off the bench and walk up and down. I've seen a few angles of it. I don't know what was said, but I'm just giving my perspective of it. I don't think the coach should be walking up and down the boys there.
Agreed.
So that's a bad idea. And then obviously, okay, like they had their little tilt. It was a little close to the kids. Bad idea. But I'll slide back to Captain's fan version of what I think were good ideas from this.
Back a little bit up for the way, just so you like your.
I'm fired up.
My bad.
So I think the good idea that a lot was missed in this, with everyone going back and forth online about the kids, was that a lot of the fights we see in the NLL are very respectful. They have their moment regardless of who's around. And when it's done, it's done. And, typically they go their ways. To have that many people around that sort of moment, and for it to have, the two guys have their bout, and then, nothing to spread further from it, no extra fights, no extracurriculars. Like
that's true.
You got to keep that in mind. Like there's, and there's been leagues in the NBA where things have, gone in and involved fans and all this. So you gotta dial back the kids segment and look at, they had their moment. It was respectful. It didn't spill into anything else. And that was that. The other part I'll put on it, and that many people aren't seeing, is how many fans now that have the tickets to the next NLL game are going to go, boys, like we got to get there early because we don't know what's going to happen.
Tailgate time. Yeah.
Well, not tailgate time. Like we want to get into the arena.
Yeah.
We don't want to walk in last minute after having beers down the road. We want to get there early because we want to see what the boys are doing in warm up. Are they gumming each other? Are they going to get at it? What are we going to see? Are we going to get more entertainment? Like I brought a buddy of mine to a game recently, and he wanted to see the physical parts of it. Right. He'd never seen the game before. So I imagine, some of the people I would bring to a game after hearing of this might want to go early, might want to have that extra beer in the rink, might want to, be more part of the game. So yeah, there are a few bad things that happen there, but I'll leave with those two bad takes, two good takes, and that's my side of it.
You make compelling arguments, if there is one, for what I think is foul. Obviously, like, people know I'm just a hater of the NLL, etc., etc. I just do a daily show for free. But that being said, I like your thing that, like, could there be some, if we can just dig deep and get the positives here, yeah. And I'll address more of these things tomorrow. Because I saw a couple of people just talking about, like, oh, well, the kids were just, enough away, and or it's good for the kids. And I'm not saying you said that by any means. I'm saying we are playing a dangerous game, because I'll put it this way. A broadcaster, not named Pat Gregoire for the record, people, a broadcaster told me, and Captain, I'll tell you off air who is in shock. This stuff happens in summer leagues more, but this is the National Lacrosse League. And again, I'll do more of this tomorrow, and I'll wrap it up with you here. Presented by Trojan. Thank you again, folks. So I had to say that. We're going to get that sponsorship. No, we at some point this league wants to get paid and become that next major league, and not have to promise that they will be, that they want to make it. My thing is, being a grown-up and an adult has to matter. And I'll leave you with this. Jackson Subak, which this was a little bit fun, but after him being involved in the fight, for him to go on social media and tell me I sound like Mickey Mouse when he knows I can do a Mickey Mouse impression anyways, I thought, like, dude, like, are you, like, when does this end? Tyler Biles goes on another comment section and says, no, Kurt Malosky started. At this point, I don't care. And we have gone so far from a terrible hit to take your shots at Rochester or Vancouver, whatever you want to say. That was my issue all week long, and everyone seemed to act like I was being a hater. It wasn't just what Hartley did was dangerous and maybe dirty. We went so far over that we got to now basically take our revenge. At what point I love the rivalry stuff, and I'll do all this tomorrow. At what point does this part stop, though? Because we're taught in the battlefield is where this happens at. And that to me looked like organized mafia. And I don't think any league would be happy with that. And they should not be. And any athlete, especially in all who has no room to give here, who thinks that that's okay, probably does not need to be pursuing professional sports. Because you're going to end up looking like the bad apples of the NFL that they usually kick out. Because once you make it that far, your money gets more and more, and your responsibility asking people at Elevated Truck and Crane. They can't just hire whoever. It takes a lot, man.
Can't give our hats out to whoever.
That's what I'm saying. Oh, that's a good reference. That's a good one. Okay, people who know the area, I like that. Good for you. Captain, thanks so much. Thank you for showing me a great series, by the way. That was like the good thing, bad thing. Because I don't want to throw my grandpa around. I just want to throw a baseball with my grandpa. That would be awful. Thank you, Captain. Have a great day, and we'll hope to see you this week, sir. And happy climbing. Bye.
You as well.
All right, folks. Again, I cannot tell you guys enough how great that take was. Because I'll admit it, he showed me what the series was before the show. I did not know what to expect with that angle, and pretty impressive. Anything that's like violent, like you put like a bunch of nudity on the field, and it's going to sell. Like sex and violence, they do their thing. They do their clicks for you. Anyways, that was dumb. All right, folks, when we come back to this awesome show, Pat Gregoire is going to come on and talk to us about Toronto, Philadelphia, well, really Buffalo, really, and Ottawa. And also stay tuned for Greggy's Grinder and Mike's Lunchbox. Oh, and 3 stars on the way as well. You're watching Daily Dive. Don't go anywhere. I know you won't.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening. You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Daily Dive, the only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet. I'm your host, Michael Karvelis. It's the day after the most boring Super Bowl in Super Bowl history. And I don't just mean the game itself, which was very boring. I mean the festivities beforehand, the game, the commercials were 95% not funny. There was no movie trailers that we were all hoping to get a piece of. And halftime show, I like Bad Bunny. I have no idea what I was watching. I mean, just like, are we saying God bless America? Are we saying, choose love over hate? Like, we're playing 10 different cards here. I do think the production of that was awesome. Like, he went from a farm back to like a city many times. So, and climbing on light poles was Bad Bunny. Climbing on light poles was not on my bingo card, I must say. Kai the goalie said that we had turned Super Bowl with so many ads. I like the local ones we get too. Like, I feel like each region gets like their local ones. That was pretty hysterical. We got this one where it was like, are you 64.com? We're giving away thousands of dollars every 10 seconds during the second half. I'm like, what? That was weird. Dude had a butt chin like Tom Brady too. 3 stars nominees for the games that Pat Gregoire is going to get to here. The Rock defeated the Fire Wolves 12-10. Troy Holochuk, 41 saves in that game and 1 loose ball. loose ball doesn't count there, but like I'm just saying, like 41 saves, including the last 4 minutes, was ridiculous. Wings defeat the Bandits 13-11. My 3 stars nominee in that one was Michael Sowers. Had 4 goals, 4 loose balls, including 2 clutch goals late. Ottawa Black Bears defeat the Calgary Roughnecks 11-9. My 3 stars nominee there. Hey, welcome back, Jeff T. This guy does nothing but win 3 stars of the weekend. 4 goals, 4 primary assists, 1 block, 7 loose balls. The main question I had before the show, I mentioned earlier, back to that Rochester-Vancouver game, Curtis Dixon, like I said, he had 7 goals. Most of that was in the second quarter. Never scored again. Shout out to Riley Hutchcraft, who I'll get to later. Jesse King is going to go down on the stat sheet. This is going to go down as the Curtis Dixon game because he got to 600 goals in his career, which is mighty impressive. But yeah. We hope we are happy you guys are tuning in. I can also make this announcement while we're here. Wednesday, we're doing a mid-season report cards again. And that's like the 3rd or 4th straight year I've done that. Very excited to get to that. But we're happy about that. Also, we have, again, I keep telling you guys, there's another surprise after this week that I will continue to do my best to tease without giving fully everything, but it's coming up very fast. And again, this week, mid-season report cards. Next week, something a little bit good out there. Couple comments before we get to Pat Gregoire here. This is better. Matt Sawyer, Swarm honor roll like me. Well, we do like grades, so I guess you're saying like they made an A? Okay, we'll have to see. And I'll take you guys a special guest when that time comes well. All right, PG, give me the thumbs up if you're down, boy. He's down. He's so down. He's so back. Pat Gregoire, how are you, sir?
Doing well. Sorry about the delay. Hey, just so everyone knows, behind the scenes, I was ready to go at the time that was provided. Then some polar bear. The polar bears picked up the phone. As everyone knows, yesterday, the busiest day in the business from the polar bear industry, I guess we could say. So, but all is good. All is good, Mike. What a wild weekend we had this weekend. Holy smokes.
And thank God the NLL provided, because the NFL did not.
No.
Going into this weekend, if you had told me our best bets were relying on Vancouver Rochester to be our talk of the weekend, I would have said no. Super Bowl probably takes over that. I was wrong. What a boring event. NLL did its thing. Good for us.
Yep. Yeah. NLL was the highlight of the weekend for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Can I be honest? Because I always tell you about your fresh fits, for the record. You and Teddy, I swear to you, I'm giving it to you, and the reason is Teddy went back-to-back light brown suits.
Different suit, but very similar. It was more of a peach. It was more of like a peachy color, but
wasn't fooling me. No, not these eyes. Not fresh fits. Nope. Just letting you know. I did not realize.
I was hoping that pattern double-breasted. If that couldn't get a nod, I don't know. I'd be protesting at.
And I'm not even a double-breasted guy. It's always like the ankles. I can't pull it off, but you can do your thing.
Hey, I haven't done ankles yet this year, and that's probably because there's been a polar vortex here in Canada.
There has been.
At least in Ontario. It's been freezing. You got to be an absolute lunatic to go no socks in this weather.
Matt Collins. Anyways, we'll throwback. All right, so now let's get your 3 games. Toronto Rock defeat the Oshawa Firewolves in the game that you and Teddy called. Very electric call, and thank God Oshawa made that interesting late, because that could have been not fun at all. So Rock went 12-10. 3 stars nominee, as I mentioned earlier, was Troy Holochuk because he went ballistic late. So we're going to go with Troy Holochuk here. Overreaction time. Pat, how close are you out of 10 to saying, screw it, Troy Holochuk's the goalie of the future after Nick Rose is done in Toronto?
Well, the question is goalie of the future. So I think I'm going to say 7.
Wow.
Because it's goalie of the future. I'm sure Nick Rose comes back and maybe it's his cage. And I think there's
I
even
meant like after he retires. Yeah.
Oh, after he retires. Okay. Which
7,
I would still say 7. I'd still say 7.
Wow.
I think he might be the goaltender of right now, possibly. Like, I think if Nick Rose comes back and he's still playing like this, it's hard. And you never want to get Wally pipped, and you never want to not give your guy a chance. But with the way that Troy's been playing, and let me get this straight. I'm not saying he's been a world beater by any stretch of the imagination, but he's done what he needs to do. He's made the saves that he needs to make, and he's come up with some that he has no business doing as well.
Correct.
Things got a little squirrely in that fourth quarter, but on that 5-on-3 power play, he came up with 5 or 6 big time saves.
Ridiculous.
Had no business making those saves. He saved the game at that point. I still think that the jury's probably out from an external standpoint. If Troy Holochuk can be a legitimate number 1 for an extended period of time, I think inside that locker room, I think inside that front office, they believe Troy Holochuk is the heir apparent to Nick Rose. I think the difficult question for them is, do you continue to ride him when Rose is back and healthy, or is the time now? That's what I have to say with this.
You know, I originally wrote down 4. Before I give my explanation, you might have bumped me up to like a 5 or 6. The reason being, I just suddenly thought about, you talk about the front office believing in him when they were willing to. I know it was a bad season, but they didn't bring in another goalie last year when they exiled Nick Rose to Calgary. All they did was ride Troy Holochuk and see what he had. And that shows a lot of faith. And they kept him this year, and now he has stood on his head. And for the record, folks, the 3 games he's been a part of, 9 goals allowed, 10 goals allowed. Jeff T works for that team, and 10 goals allowed for what I thought was a red-hot Oshawa offense, but I was wrong. Or at least Holochuk said I was wrong. But my answer to this was, we'll see, between 4 and 6 now. So, again, I said he was good. What I was most impressed with, after the 5-0 run, if you look at the 4-minute mark onward, and a lot of this was Dawson Theed hero ball, and God bless him. Because I thought there was a scenario where it was like, come on, Theed, I know you're hot, but you ain't that hot. But somebody had to say no, and they were not getting blocked. It was Holochuk saying no.
Yeah.
The reason why I was so hesitant is Jamie Dowick. I don't know what he's thinking. Like, so many people are like Buffalo and Toronto are in interesting spots right now. Nick Rose, Matt Vince. We're going to go with Troy Holochuk and Evan Konstantinopoulos, even though Holochuk seems more proven at this point. We know that
certainly
Dowick and then the GM of the Bandits, Chugger?
Chugger, Steve Dietrich.
Steve Dietrich. So it's like, no one knows what they're doing. And they're going to speculate till the end of time if they're going to trade for a goalie or sign a big star. We don't know. For now, it's Holochuk a bigger edge than Konstantinopoulos does, obviously.
1,000%.
Both those teams are in very similar spots despite what's happened in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's that's the thing. You work so hard to find the next goalie or your
Yes.
goalie of the future, and you get him, and you have it. Like a guy like Nick Rose, like a guy like Matt Vince. Obviously, 2 different things, considering Matt Vince obviously was pretty well established when
he got to Buffalo.
When the Bandits got
true.
there, right?
True.
Did they anticipate he was going to play this many seasons? Maybe not. But they have tried to plan for that next goalie. I don't think they're at the point where Toronto is right now, where they're pretty confident in Troy Holochuk. Whereas with Buffalo, they have Evan Konstantinopoulos, who I don't think is ready right now, and Shognash as well. I think he is the goalie of the future, but he is still a few years away. I don't know where the stopgap is if Matt Vince decides to hang it up and go that way. We're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, Mike. But I know the Mimico Trike and everyone in the comments always like to talk about Matt Sawyer.
Yeah, that's good.
Here's what I was thinking this morning And I don't know why. On my walks with my
no.
dog, and it was a short walk with my dog this morning because of how cold it was. Things I always tell you, that's where my mind turns. That's where I get things going. And my
That's right.
question is Matt Sawyer the Sean McDermott of the NLL? And why I say that is a coach that has established some good culture, has had some very good regular seasons. When it comes to the big game, they fall short. But here's where
one team, too.
Against one team,
yeah.
Too. Buffalo Bandits, are they the Kansas City Chiefs? That's possibly. Here's the other thing I will say, though. Perhaps this year, like Sean McDermott, I would argue Sean McDermott's best coaching sample size was this year with the Buffalo Bills, but they fell short. And despite him doing so well as that head coach, he still had to lay on the sword. Is that the same thing that's going to happen with Sawyer here? Because maybe their expectations aren't as high as the Buffalo Bills, but does it matter what he does this year? Does it matter what he does? Is it if they don't get over the hump, there has to be change? Because I would argue, and you even mentioned it too, you said I would put him in the mix for a ballot or a vote for Coach of the Year. And that's hard to argue, Mike. That is hard to argue. I know I called it clickbait. I was a little tongue-in-cheek just because I know how hot of a topic it is in this chat. But I would argue that him and his staff are doing a great job right now. But would you argue that is it so much Matt Sawyer, or is it Bruce Codd, the defensive coordinator, and the new offensive coordinator in Dan Dawson? That's another thing we have to talk about as well. But just food for thought, just something that was coming into my dumb brain on my morning walk, which it always does, because I really thought, I said, you know what? A lot of people are hard on Matt Sawyer, and for good reason. What if he has an all right showing this year? They don't win the title. They don't get to the finals, but he takes this young team to the Final Four. How do you let him go? But at the same time, is his time up? I don't know. I'm not here to answer the question. I'm here to put the question out to the people.
Wow, at this point, it's like, should that have been the question for overreaction? Not terrible. I'm glad we don't have to answer that right now. Kyler Goalie says this is terrible. Unbelievable.
That's mean. That's so mean. And
how does Kai pull that out of his rear end is ridiculous to me.
He's the best.
Good. So, we'll continue this like briefly here. I do want to mention, then this will be a segment probably this week as well. Teams seem to be more willing to let go of some coaches more than they have before. We know Halifax's longtime offensive guy got the boot. That was after Oshawa's guy, after playing musical chairs with his position, they gave him the boot on defense. I mean, like you said, the Matt Sawyer thing is wild. If he does have a McDermott-ish season and they once again fall just short, because just short's not good enough in Hamilton anymore. So,
yeah.
All right. So we don't want to set the precedent because like they're supposed to be like 6 or 7 times champions, and it doesn't feel like that based on the time that I've been watching the NLL. All right. Next up, second game. Wow. From one hot topic team to another hot topic team. And I want to give the Wings credit here. God bless Mr. Second Win of the Year. With that being said, Wings did walk into Buffalo. Brandon O'Neill and Michael Sowers were both disgusting. Michael Sowers took over late. This poor little white American is going to get pushed around. Not if you're quick. But we're going to go to the Buffalo thing here. And shout out, folks, to Pat Gregoire on this idea without even this idea happening. Like, we didn't even talk about this as an idea, but I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Blame percentage pie. I don't know, Pat, you're going to change what you told me. I'm okay if you do it either way. So What is your blame? And we're going to break down the pie here of why the Bandits are 3-5.
Okay, I have to pull up this pie.
I love that. You're going to
that
we
had
it.
Because
Good.
To be honest, and maybe I got a little fired up. And you know what? You're not the only one who threw this out there. No media is throwing it out. I'll give you credit for that.
75.9 for Matt Vince.
I've seen a lot of fans say that the Buffalo Bandit rule has ruined or broke the Buffalo Bandits. And I would say, does that rule have, you found the blame
I'm
pie?
sending you a
I can't see what's on
screenshot so
here.
you can talk and I'll send you a
Please do.
screen. This one will be
Please
right
do.
there.
So I believe that, yes, it is playing a role in what's going on in Banditland right now. Guys like Paul Dawson aren't able to camp out in the crease and just block shots. It forces these guys, some of these slower players, to step out and have to play more of an aggressive role. Totally get that. Majority of the time that they were doing this quote unquote blocking is on the penalty kill. Yes, they did in other instances as well. There's no doubt about that. So I'm going to say, you know what? The rule, it's a valid argument. I just don't think it's as big of a deal as many people are saying. So I'm going to say 5% is the rule change, and not as big as a rule. What I will say in that is 15% of the blame kind of ties into this rule is the team just getting older, getting slower, more miles on their body, more lacrosse being played on their body. Has anyone played more lacrosse than Dane Smith, Josh Byrne, Ian McKay over the last 2 years? Steve Priolo can be in that mix too. No. Especially a guy like Steve Priolo, a lot of heavy miles on him. A guy like Paul Dawson, a lot of miles on him. That has to add up. And I'm not putting Byrne and Smith and McKay in the old category. Not doing it. They're not old. They got a lot. They can deal with those miles. But some of the other guys, it's clearly taking its toll. So 15%. And also that goes with Matt Vince. Matt Vince might be the most in shape player in the NLL right now. It doesn't matter. He's still getting older. Not saying that in a one and done game, championship on the line, or in a playoff run, he can lock in and win you a championship. I do agree, but I think it's just taking him a little bit longer to warm up here and get to that elite status. That is what I'm saying. So 15%, Mike, goes into just the age coming up here. 30% because, no, I'm going to go with the big one first. 50% is, nope, change my mind. I'm going to go with 30 because we'll stick with the defense. A lot of people saying, oh, it's the rule. It's the rule. It's the rule. Sure, maybe a little bit. You know what else nobody's talking about right now is the guy that they went out from that Philadelphia team and grabbed, Mitch DeSnew, has not played in a very long time. That defense was playing much better when Mitch DeSnew was in the lineup. Mitch DeSnew provides so much more than just your one-on-one defense. In fact, there's other guys that you might trust on that defense to have with those matchups than Mitch DeSnew. But Mitch DeSnew does? He's a disruptor. He picks off passes. He blocks shots. He gets involved in transition. Now, all of a sudden, other guys are going to have to pick up the miles that he is playing. So that plays a big role. And Pat, you might be thinking, Pat, what are you talking about? Mitch DeSnew being out for 30? That counts for 30%? No, there's another guy that's in that 30%. And that is Justin Martin. No, not Justin Martin of the Toronto Rock. Justin Martin of the Buffalo Bandits. He retired this year. I said it at the start of the year.
You did.
That his presence was going to be just as felt as the other two. We'll get to the other two in a second. But they don't have the lockdown mutant anymore on the back end. They don't have that boat anchor that you can just put a guy on an island and say, take out their best player. Go one-on-one with him. Take away, eliminate him. He was the human eraser. They don't have that guy anymore. They haven't been able to figure out who's going to fill that void. So 30% of the reason, those two guys not being in the lineup. And the big one for me, because everyone talks about the defense, Matt Vince, why are we talking about how bad the offense has been? Why is nobody else talking about, yes, they scored 11 goals against Philly, finally hit double digits for the first time in 3 weeks?
Yes, 3 games, yeah.
What are we doing here? Chris Cloutier and Chase Fraser are so missed on that offense. It is night and day. And I am a huge fan of Steve Dietrich, and I have banged the drum saying that he does not get the credit for how brilliant of a lacrosse mind he is, for how good of a general manager he is, but he did not properly fill the voids of those two players. You brought in you brought in Mike Triolo. He's gone. You already released him. He looks pretty good in Georgia right now, freeing up space for Lyle Thompson and getting chances to score when he has that opportunity. I'm sorry, Lucas Nielsen is a fantastic prospect, but that's exactly what he is. He is a prospect. He is not an everyday NLLer. And I don't care that he scored a goal and an assist. You need more from a Buffalo Bandits offense. I'm sorry, just not good enough. On the left side, Scanlon is a water bug. He's an energy guy. He's fantastic. He's great. Don't get me wrong, but you need more from your secondary scoring. A goal, an assist, not going to get it done. Not going to get it done. There's too much pressure on Dane Smith and Josh Byrne right now, and I would say Dane Smith is carrying the load. Josh Byrne is not carrying his load right now at all. Oof. 0 goals, 4 assists. It has been a struggle for him. He is struggling, and I am convinced that he is still not healthy from the Man Cup. This does not look like Airburn. When was the last time you see him beat a defender underneath and take it to the net and go flying through?
That's a good question, actually, because remember we were talking about Lyle Thompson. We gave him an excuse for being, well, I want to say excuse. We said maybe he was hurt. He's now looking better all of a sudden. Was Josh Byrne also ailing? We haven't seen the best of him yet. It's interesting.
But I mean, Lyle's starting to heat up.
That's what I'm saying. So now, but it was obviously something was bothering him beforehand. So maybe Josh will have that moment.
And let me get this straight too. 43 points in 8 games is still pretty solid, but we're talking about one of the best players on the planet. 2 years ago, last year, we were talking about, is it Dane or is it Josh's team? Like the guys tied for points. Like they were 1A, 1B. It wasn't, this is Dane Smith and Josh's, his sidekick. It was like, this is their team. And I still believe in Josh Byrne. I still think he is a world talent, all class, elite of the elite, one of the best players on the planet. Something is wrong with him right now. I'm sorry. Something is wrong with him. With all that being said, it sounds like the sky is falling. It sounds like there should be riots in the streets of Buffalo right now. With a couple of moves, and I mentioned it, Steve Dietrich, he may have failed right now. He has an opportunity before March 9th at the trade deadline to make some improvements with this roster. And I think with adding one offensive piece and maybe adding another defensive piece, this team can get back to championship caliber. It's going to be a grind. It's going to be difficult. And boy, oh boy, they got to start collecting wins fast. And their schedule does not get any easier, Mike. It starts with Halifax in the nest this weekend, then travel all the way out to Vancouver. Then you host Saskatchewan, you go to Toronto, you host Colorado, wow. You then go to San Diego, you go to Saskatchewan, you host Vancouver, you play Rochester, and you finish with Oshawa. Holy
Does Buffalo win another game?
This is an absolute gauntlet.
Woo!
But if anyone can do it, it's the back-to-back champs. But with this roster right now, Mike, it's not going to get done. They might make the playoffs. Like Ryan Benesh was a healthy scratch last game, or a scratch. I don't know if it was healthy or just due to injury, whatever it was. The moves that were made were not good enough. Steve Dietrich has a great opportunity to go out and make those moves and get this team back into the conversation. And I don't care. I've heard people saying like, oh, maybe you just punt on the year and you recoup some picks. You've got Dane Smith and Josh Byrne on your roster. You are never punting in their goddamn prime. Ask Ottawa what they feel about burning a year of Jeff T. You want to burn a year of these two guys? You want to burn a year? This might be Matt Vince's last year. And we're going to say, it's fine. We'll ship pieces out. There is not a hope in heck that the Buffalo Bandits are going to do that. They will do anything in their power to put up another banner in this building. There's no doubt about that. So you can put that to bed. That's not happening.
It was only a matter of time before I rubbed off on you. You started getting fired up. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Oh, let's go. I'm a terrible influence here. Cup, 3 things to get to, and then I'll get to my blame percentage pie. Number one, you almost in a way painted a picture back towards the finals for them. If some of the extra defensive piece, I looked it up while you were talking. Mitch just knew they are 3-1 in games that he has played. Not too shabby. And their defense was great in all 3 of those games. They also, the offensive piece, maybe it is, I don't know. Joe Rez seems cool, but it also seems like a stretch. How big of a piece do you need? Like it's funny, I say on Mike Triolo because I just got rid of him, but something has to happen. Maybe it's not a guy to get people open because Dane Smith had 22 shots on goal on 25 shots, which is bonkers, by the way. That stat line doesn't make sense. But I'm saying that maybe just an extra guy to kind of take a little bit of load off, just to shoot, kind of like Dawson Theed and Oshawa, even though it hasn't panned out yet. Just an extra guy that just can score a little bit.
You know what? I've been saying it. I feel like week 1, I came on the show and said Joe Rezzaterets, and I think that's the obvious one because he's another ball carrier. I know right now he's playing more of a facilitator role, but we know he can shoot the ball. You have him and Dane Smith playing.
He wouldn't have to do much either. He would just be a luxury piece. Which would
one thing that not a lot of people are talking about is the fact that when Buffalo would go with the 2-man side on the righty, so meaning they would go lefty strong. So you have 3 lefties and 2 righties, and they play the 2-man game. What they like to do in years past is Dane would play a lot with Kyle Buchanan, and then Cloutier and Dahoga would play together a lot. You haven't found that guy for Dahoga in the 2-man game.
Yeah.
What if you go a little Joe Rez and Dahoga and Anakoke, and that's your 2-man game on that side. And then when you go strong right, Joe Rez is not going to shake the boat. But the more and more and more and more and more and more I watch this team, the more I think they need a lefty, actually. I think they need a lefty.
Wow.
And is it Eric Fennell? Is it a guy to crash and bang and free up space for Josh Byrne?
First of all, that is the Brandon O'Neill whisperer. Hold your horses, sir. Leave my boy alone. Turtleneck is off limits.
That's the only issue. I think if Philly's going to want to build for the future, they want Eric Fennell. I don't see them getting rid of him. And you look at it Georgia was the team was going to be the sellers. And I thought at the start of the year, Shane Jackson of Buffalo, beautiful.
Talking about
they ain't selling. They're not selling. Are you kidding me? They might buy. It's not going to be a first rounder because John Arlotta, he collects those like they're going out of style. It's
I don't know if you noticed to start the show. This is from that new Amazon shop, actually.
I was going to say it looks new. It's new,
huge. Everyone thinks I'm a Swarm fan. I'm like, no, I'm a lacrosse fan. Easy, pal.
Yeah,
Kai,
exactly.
I'm saying my place, Kai. I do want to mention another thing you got to here. Justin Martin, I know we don't need to go on and on about this. I just want to mention that's a guy who doesn't stick out in a lot of people's brains because he didn't get stats, I noticed. He doesn't get the blocks, the call turnovers. But if you're just going to make a guy shoot a stupid shot, it's pretty much like a cost turnover at that point. So I like that. Maybe we should do a defensive shooting percentage. The stats, people have enough on their plate. I'm just saying it's one I'm wanting in the future. And finally,
who used to do that? Cooper Perkins.
Lacrosse metrics, is that what he called it? What did he call that?
Yes. Yeah, lacrosse metrics. Yeah, I missed that thing. That was great. That was great.
One more thing I'll say before I get my blame pie here. There is a scenario before the season, picture, we're rewinding back to week 0, okay? Hey, Pat, this year, the Toronto Rock are going to lose Nick Rose for 5 or more games, and Buffalo's going to be fully healthy. The problem is, well, I see, my speech just new. But when we reach week 11, Buffalo's sky is falling, and Toronto might be the best coaching job by Matt Sawyer ever. You're like, Michael, go to hell. Just letting you know. All right,
bizarre. We're living in a bizarre world right now.
All right, Seahawks just won the Super Bowl. What is going on? I'm kidding. All right, so now let's get into my blame percentage pie, and I'll try to move this quickly here. 5% Matt Vince, 75.5% save percentage is, I don't care which way you slice why he's doing it. It's god awful, and for his standards, it's the depths of hell just for those wondering. And hopefully he turns around. 20% fatigue, and I don't just mean the fatigue of playing the Mann Cup. Pat, what did people say was the Chiefs' problem, or just any NFL team's problem? And they have a very physical week-to-week style of league. You can't three-peat. This team did that and made like 4 or 5 in a row. Is it 5 in a row?
Yeah.
They've made it to LeBron levels of dominance here. It's going to fall off the map one day, and maybe it's not going to. But right now, this checks out. 25%, I'll go Bandits rule. If you want to lump the defense in with that, sure. I do think there's value in, there's more openings. Like Brandon O'Neal cooked Vince like twice. I was like, oh, wow, that did not happen before. Because half your eyes are in the crease. Make sure it's behind you. And finally, Pat, I was wrong about this offense, man. I thought Dane, Josh, plug and play, who else plays beside him. I don't think anyone in their wildest dreams, honest to God, honestly, as much as we like Fraser and Kluche, did any of us really say, yeah, no, they're going to miss those guys way more than they should? I don't think anyone thought that. So that's my title. That's a title pie. That's my blame pie.
I love it. I love it. I think it's very apparent the offense. There's issues here, and I get it. They gave up 20 to Colorado before that, but it's
Colorado's cooking anyways.
Exactly. It's just, to me, it's yes, the defense, there is problems, and you laid it out perfectly. But they got to figure out a way to get that offense cooking again. They have to figure out a way to get that going. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to be internally. I think they got to go out and get some other pieces, mix things up, because it's just not the same. It is just not the same.
You need to stop screening the goalie. There you go. And again, before we move on here, I just want to mention to people, when they lose to Halifax, when people are proposing outside the doors, the question next week, I guarantee you, is going to be, Pat, will the Bandits ever win a game again this season? All right, so now we're going to get... All right, Ottawa Black Bears defeat the Roughnecks. That's why I did the game second, because this game's going to be kind of quick, I assume. Black Bears defeat the Roughnecks 11-9. Jeff Teat is Jeff Teat. We're going to do a little bit of schedule prediction here. Ottawa's next 3 at what is now a hungry Rochester team versus Oshawa, and I don't even know what to think of them at that point, and at a smoking hot Colorado team. No offense to the people who smoke weed in Colorado. Pat, life on the line. What's their record in those games? They're 5-5 right now.
First, I'll tell you what it needs to be.
3-0.
It's got to be. I was going to say 2-1 minimum.
I
You'd
like
probably
that.
like to be 3-0.
Sure.
I think it's probably going to be 1-2.
Yeah. So I just answer it like you said. I said 1-2, and that is maybe with a win versus Oshawa, because people don't like to hear this, because again, I said that'll be a hungry Rochester team, a growing, more dangerous by the day Colorado team, sandwiched in the middle. Oshawa, Pat, there is a scenario the Firewolves win 1 or 2 more games this year. I don't know when those games are. I told you I have a pact with God at this point. It might be the devil for all I know at this point. I keep picking them. It might be against Ottawa. So I think 0-3 is on the table here.
It's definitely on the table, but the way I looked at it, Mike, and people, maybe I thought I was going to be a little crazier, but you might be on the same path. I think they beat Rochester this week.
Oh, wow.
And I think it's a letdown spot against an Oshawa team at home. Wow. And then they lose to Colorado. Just with the way that the season's gone, look at their schedule. It's loss against San Diego, beat Saskatchewan, lose to Vegas, beat Philly and Oshawa 2 in a row. Great. They string 2 wins together. Then you lose to Halifax. You beat Buffalo. Then you lose 2 in a row to Vancouver and Toronto. Then you beat Calgary. So like maybe it goes flip flop again, but I wouldn't it be surprised? Like maybe it's the 2 in a row. It's every time you think they're going to go on a run, that's when they fall off.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I see it. That's kind of where I see it. But
one more thing. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but like if what we saw against Calgary, if Jeff Teat could be Jeff Teat and, blow us away with his godly talents and the defense is not a train wreck. And if Higgins just plays solid, they could go 3-0. We just haven't seen the consistency from this group, Mike. Every week, it's like, which goalie's showing up? What other secondary scorer is going to show up? What defense is going to show up? You know what you do know week in and week out? So what's going to show up? Jeff Teat's going to show up. And most of the time, Rob Hellier is going to show up unless they got Owen Grant, draped all over him in that Vancouver game. You know what you're getting with those two guys. You don't know with everything else. You just don't know. They're far too inconsistent.
I want to let you know we just prompted a very, and I mean extremely rare. I love these guys, but they're like me. It's hard to watch other podcasts. Pat, you prompted a very rare comment from these boys. I appreciate you. They do great work, Buffalo Sports Club. PK.
They do.
And, yeah.
Hey, PK, I'm a friend of the program. I listen all the time. I haven't even listened to the podcast yet. So I promise you, I'm not stealing any of your guys' takes. That's hilarious. But I am looking forward to listening to it later on because that's got to have must watch. It's got to be close to the panic button being hammered down in Buffalo right now.
All right, Pat. I'm going to throw this on the board, and I just want to ask you. You have 2 Powerballs, both of the same odds. Okay. The Polar Bears are providing this. Ottawa Black Bears go 0-3 or 3-0. I'm taking 0-3. If you have to choose one, same odds. I think 0-3 is more likely, man.
Yeah, the gambler in me is like, give me better odds for the 3-0 and I'll take it. But same odds, I think you're right. I think
that was one of my best segments, by the way. Is the power? We're gonna do that one day. The Powerball. All right, finally.
I love that.
You know what we're missing here is the radio music. Green Day was great, but we're better. I walk alone. Okay, so Greggy's Grinder. Go ahead with your nominations. Your winner.
You know what? I was thinking of like, let's give some flowers to a bunch of different people or different players. But you know what? I'm just going to give it to one guy, and it's just going to be one guy this week. And maybe it's more of a collective grinder for all of what he's done over the last little while. And Ashley Docking did a great story on him. But my grinder this week's Phil Mazuka.
Love that.
What he's been able to do in this new role, a little more responsibility as a top 5 defender with this group. He had 11 loose balls, 2 assists in transition as well, added a caused turnover. I feel like he had more than that and a block, but he was fantastic in that game. He is a guy that has embraced this challenge. He's a guy that has played with a much bigger role in so many different ways. He always was a great loose ball guy, a good energy guy, but now he is paced with having to cover some of the top players each and every night. Killing penalties sometimes now too. Last minute defense, you name it. Bruce Codd has given him a lot more responsibilities, and he stepped up to the challenge. So Phil Mazuka, you are the grinder of the week for Greggy's Grinder.
The Mazuka. I don't know if we can do that. It just sounds good. So he's 25 years old, folks, and he was close to making my nominees. And for the record, you didn't even give him enough credit there. One of the 10 Toronto face-off wins were against Mike Byrne, was one of one for Mazuka, and he also had 2 assists, by the way, which is good for him. All right, now finally, I've only got 2 people myself. I was kind of disappointed in both of us here. I'm going to give him my nominee. It's going to be Dane Smith, of all people. Like, what? He doesn't need credit. Yes, he does. Oh,
I was going to say, there we go.
This is like Mike Mercury's supercar. Saw a couple of clips of this. It looks absolutely stupid. But for its time, whatever, man. All right, anyways, thanks, Smith. What's a man got to do? Keep saying that. I don't know if, again, folks, he took 25 shots. Usually, and I've watched a lot of these stats because I'm a nerd, that means 10 of them were off. No, it doesn't. 22 of Nick Damoud's 46 saves were Dane Smith shots on goal. That is absolutely insane. So, yeah, the offense is sucking, and Dane's like, I'm doing my part, please. Idiots. So he's got to be like, what is he got to do? I don't know. My winner, though, I'm telling you, tomorrow's first segment is going to be so dang controversial with that pregame fight. And we're going to go back to that stupid game, okay? I'm going to go for a goalie in that game in Rochester, not Rylan Hartley.
I like this pick a lot.
Folks, Riley Hutchcraft, let me just set the tone for you on why I did this. He has been awful. And I mean, there was a time where me and Adam Levy were discussing, is he possibly a replacement if Hartley does have to retire because of injury, ironically. And it's like, Hutchcraft was pretty good in net. He has not been good. He was pulled against Philly like early, and they were like, come on, man. And then this game, all week long, we knew that he has a chance to start, but it's like, you know what, he's probably thinking they're just going to appeal it, and, I'll be fine. And hopefully, because I gave up, a boatload of goals. I think he got 15 or 14 of the 16 last week. Like, no way this guy shows up. Well, it happened, and he played 34 minutes. Folks, it was 13-7 at halftime, and if you check the box score of that game, he allowed, I think, 5 goals. That is, for what he's been up against, for the drama that was in this game, thinking, okay, Hartley's going to give us a better chance to win, than being thrown into that fire after your team blew a lead, and the mental power to stand in there and give your team what was a realistic shot to win. Hats off to you. Lunchbox is open. Thank you, sir.
I love that pick.
By the way.
Oh, really?
Well, just I didn't have a script. I felt good about that one. It's good.
I loved it. It's great. I think the mental part of it is so important as well. He really did give his team a chance to win, where it looked like it could have been blowout city. Like I almost
turned it off.
Yeah, absolutely. It was not good, but he was able to hold down the fort as much as he could. You got to give him a lot of credit for that. You have to give him a lot of credit for that.
They scored 3 goals in the second half, by the way, folks. And it's like, if your offense starts cooking to start the third quarter, you have to stand on your head in order for that to be possible, and that's what he did. But thank you, Pat, for your time. Thank you for sticking it out, even though me and Captain went a little bit overboard. But
it's okay.
It all worked out.
It's okay. Exactly.
And there's still 3 stars to give. Unbelievable, but that's your time. Thank you, sir. Do you have a game next week or no? For some people.
This week, it is. We do.
There's 8 games. You better have a game.
Myself, Ashley Docking on the sidelines
again
and making her play-by-play debut. Mackie Jenner.
We're so back.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're excited. It's going to be awesome. Making more herstory. We're excited. It's going to be great. And we got a great game. Loser leaves town. I think whatever team loses this game is going to have a real difficult time making the playoffs. That is for sure. Love that. See you next week. Well, whatever. Maybe Friday. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Pat Gregoire, everybody. So generous with his time. Folks, the show is not over yet, but where's my thing at? We'll be right back to Dilly Dive. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to North American Talk Radio, the all-new talk radio station featuring sports, movies, politics, mental health, and more. Check us out at natalkradio.com and subscribe today. Buy event tickets straight from our website to help the cause and get tickets to your favorite events for less. That's natalkradio.com. Thanks for listening.
Daily Dive, only live Monday through Friday lacrosse talk show on the planet, is wondering, hey, how are you going to get to the next lacrosse game? We have an answer. That website, click the event tickets tab. Hey, don't look stupid when you're there. That website, get your merchandise. See how it works? You see how easy it is to not just support your team and your home franchise, but also this show? Thank you. All right, so finally, 3 stars of the weekend. The winning performances that are going to actually get the big dog credit here. I will post graphics for this later. 3rd star for me, Troy Holochuk, actually. Troy Holochuk, I can't express to you guys how awesome he was in the final minutes of that game when I really thought Oshawa was going to tie that game for not just their sake, but my sake, as a man who has integrity in his pick'em. It didn't even matter. But Holochuk was great, 41 saves, and I believe like at least 12 of them were in the 4th quarter. Excellent work for him. 2nd star, welcome to the party, fellow countrymen. That's stupid. Michael Sowers, 4 goals in that game in Bandit Land, where he also added 4 loose balls for what it's worth, but he had 2 of the final 3 goals for Philadelphia, and Philadelphia won the game by a score of 13-11. So those last goals really mattered, because I thought Buffalo would really overcome that game, because it was like back and forth and Buffalo took the lead late. Michael Sowers, no, too good for y'all. Good stuff for him. 1st star of the week. It is going to go to Curtis Dixon. You can't deny 7 goals. You can deny the rest of the game he was not very good, but you have to admit that I know Jesse King was passing him the ball, but he had to snipe it. And he was part of the reason why Hartley went out of that game, because he turned into Superman Dixon. I also have another hot take here. There are way too many nicknames in lacrosse. He deserves a nickname, but there are so many Supermen in all of sports. It's like switching actors. Like, it's not a big deal. I just thought it was something to just say. I wasn't even planning to say that today. Anyways, tomorrow, what transpired in Vancouver pregame, we'll break down the multiple angles. I'll also get to Coach's hot seat and a little twist on that, but you'll see. And finally, fresh fits. And don't forget, Wednesday, we have mid-season report cards with a guest to be named later. All right, folks, thanks so much for watching today's show. You've been great. We're always great. That's humble, right? We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. North American Talk Radio on YouTube. Do subscribe. If not, see you anyways, you hate watchers. Bye, everybody.